So let's get us a couple of seconds. Get your stuff situated.
We ain't giving it no couple of seconds. Good evening, y'all. We here. We ain't giving it no couple of seconds. 7:01. Y'all showed up. We going. Let's go. We got 5 people in the room. What we give this seconds for?
Somebody froggy today. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Live, the first Wednesday Night Live of 2023. I'm Marcus and
Keya.
Hey.
What?
So, today, to start off the new year, we're going to talk about something. And to give you a little background, Keya and I this subject talked about it recently. And we was talking about it. Then after our conversation, it kind of came up again in a general conversation when we was out. And we was like, okay, this is the perfect time to address it. Let's make that part of our live. So tonight's live is gratitude versus love. Distinguishing the feeling of gratitude for love. Yeah, we're doing a little something different. We're gonna chill, smoke, and be on the patio today. You know, enjoying this 80-degree weather in January in Texas. I don't understand, but hey, enjoy it, love it. It's better than freezing.
We like it, don't we?
Yeah. So now that you're here, we're here.
And what I do with this 80-degree weather bag?
So she broke out the grill, made some quick old hot dogs and Polish sausages. They were jumping.
I broke out the grill because it was 80 degrees, and I texted him earlier and I was like, "What kind of day you having?" And so I was like, "Yeah, when you get in, I'm gonna make it smooth for you." Even though I just got on his nerves, but you know, I can't spoil him too much.
You a lie. I'm meant to be spoiled.
You are, man.
I am built to be spoiled.
You are.
So let's jump into it. Gratitude. What is gratitude? Let's see what my note says. Ooh. It's the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and the return of kindness. So when you think about it, we all know what love is. A lot of times people will take the act of kindness or gratitude and confuse with love. Like, they do this for me, or they're always there for me. And a lot of times, maybe she may have heard this one. She's a good girl. I think that's the one I should be with. And it's more based on a feeling of gratitude or reward, I should say, than actual love. Not having common bonds. And that's what we want to address. How can we distinguish this? You know, for example, I kind of felt it once before. And heaven forbid I didn't follow through with it, but I think it's more like she kind of knew. And long story short, I actually hurt myself. I actually severed a tendon in my leg at work. And I had to have surgery. And after I had surgery, my leg is immobile. So I went over to this lady house, and she took care of me for about a couple of weeks till I was able to move around. And you feed you, and help you get dressed and whatever. Even help you shower. Clean yourself. And I needed some basketball shorts. She ran out and gave me some basketball shorts, so something I could wear. And after I started moving, I was like, yo, this is the type of woman I need.
She's so sweet.
We're going to talk about that later. This is what I think. And, I was like, yeah, this is what I should be with. And, yeah. And what happens is you think about it, you're like, okay, you're not saying, do we have the same life goals? Are we emotionally on the same page? Or do we see life, both our life together? Do she see her life with me, or I see her life? None of that wasn't even a thought. It was just like, she could take care of me. And I think that happens a lot. Especially you get older. You start getting up in years, and you don't want to be alone. You start choosing a necessity or even gratitude with somebody who's been around, oh, she's always been there. That's all this, but all the dirt I did, she stood by my side. You're like, okay, that's what I should be with. She always there. Not that I love her or she makes me feel a certain type of way or or she's just that one, my soulmate. It's just that she's good for me.
She's just doing nice things.
Yeah.
She's kind.
Yeah. And that's where we start messing up is because that kindness doesn't mean you're gonna make you want to be together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gratitude. It's like, hey, you do everything right. You do right. You take care of the kids. You take care of the kids real well.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem about you. You don't have to ask me for nothing. I want you to be my wife. I want you to be my lady, or something. And how does that turn out?
Yeah. So I think, like everything you said is basically what we were kind of discussing, and I think it's sometimes out of the fear of that person thinking badly of you if you don't choose to be with them because they've done all these nice things for you. But if you don't feel that for that person, you just don't feel that.
Right.
And sometimes we try to force things based on somebody being kind or somebody being nice or generous to us. And we can sometimes confuse that for love. We can confuse that for this is the relationship that I should be in because this person's being kind to me. But you don't take in consideration, like you said, if there is an actual connection, if there's a bond, if there are common interests, if we have the same goals in mind, if we are in alignment with one another in terms of our future and things like that. I've had situations like that where I've been with someone that was just really nice to me, and they showed up at a time where I needed it, and I confused that for love, and I confused that for, hey, well, maybe I should be with this person because they're really nice to me, and the other people haven't been so nice to me, so I should just settle and just take this. You know what I'm saying? And instead of being like, well, no, I want a nice, kind person that I actually like too, and that I'm actually connected to, and that I actually want to be with. And so I had to recognize that in myself, that was something that I was doing. And it was more so because it was more so that I was doing it because I felt obligated. Okay, that's the word. That's the word. I felt obligated. Lonnie said this conversation sounds familiar. It really isn't about the conversation, though. It really is about our conversation that we had separately, and the fact that both of us had done this before, where we were both in situations where we felt like we were in, what's the word, relationships with people out of obligation, right? So you end up in these relationships out of obligation, and the tricky thing about that is if you don't catch it early, you look up and you're like 10 years in, you're 20 years in, you're 30 years in, right? And so, like, without going into personal stuff, I know somebody that dealt with that, and then they felt relief. You know, like, oh, I don't have to be in this relationship anymore because it was so one-sided, or I didn't feel X, Y, or Z for that person. And it's like, I was telling Marcus, and we were just talking, like, we don't want to be in that type of relationship with one another where we feel like we're pressed to be here because, yeah, you're a kind person, a nice person, and a lovely person, but that's not enough.
And handsome.
Well, I'm not talking about you. So why you throw that in there? We're going to X that part out, okay? And Janelle said, and then there's so much resentment when this happens. Yeah, so you end up, like, because that's like the situation I was just telling you about with somebody that I know that was saying like how they resent the person and how they hate the fact that they were with somebody for, and we're talking about somebody that had been in a marriage for, I'm talking about a very long time. I won't say how long, but over 25 years. And they literally resented the person. They hated the fact that they made this decision, and they felt trapped and like they couldn't get out of the situation. And I'm just like, I'm glad I got myself out of that situation and I didn't continue, and that I was honest. And it was hard to be honest. It was. I'm not going to lie and tell you that it wasn't. It was hard because you do have a person that's being kind and caring and considerate. And when you have to go to a person that's kind to you and say, hey, I don't really want to do this anymore, it's a hard thing to do because you don't want to hurt that person's feelings who's been nice to you, who's been kind to you, who's been generous and loving towards you, but you also don't want them to go down a road with you that you already know what the ending's going to be, right? So I think sometimes we find ourselves in these obligatory relationships and then we're like, how do I get out of this? But how do you get in it? I think that's like the part that we have to also assess is, and we didn't talk about that,
no, we didn't,
but it just kind of came to me like, how do you even start that, right? How do you even get in there? So you have to be so aware that you're not entering into relationships, like you're being honest with people up front so that you don't just kind of find yourself in positions like that, so that you don't create that resentment from them and you don't end up having resentment.
You gotta be honest with yourself,
yeah,
before you be honest with them, because you're really in that. Because gratitude is a it could be a euphoric state. It could be a space of energy where a peacefulness of somebody doing something for you, like, oh wow, that's cool. That they did that for me.
Yeah.
And it can be like, okay, now I'm confusing it. Then one thing I thought about just now, I don't know if it kind of deviates a little bit from what you just said. You ever watch those shows and movies where the handsome guy or the pretty girl takes up with a little nerdy cat person, and now that nerdy person thinking, oh, she likes me or he likes me, and it's like, no, I was just looking out for you in a friendly manner, as a friend.
The confusion,
and then he gets confused, like, no, it's not a crush. Now you had developed a crush on me for being morally sound. You know what I mean? And that's how it can happen.
Oh.
And that's how it just came to me. It's like,
yeah, that's one of the ways it could happen. But I think that's more so like that could be confusion with people who, like, maybe you establish friendships with. But like in terms of how it can become a relationship, because you might actually like the person. You might start off liking that person, and then it turns into, oh, well, after getting to know this person a little bit more, I've come to understand, like, no, I'm not really interested like that. And then you understand that, but we don't immediately have those conversations. We just let it go on. And it's out of selfishness sometimes too. Like, I'm getting a benefit out of this. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I ain't thinking
like,
about that one.
I'm benefiting from the fact that somebody's being kind to me and somebody's being considerate to me and someone's being loving to me. But there's a selfishness attached to that. Because if you continue to receive, if you continue to take those things, then that person is thinking that it's reciprocal. Even though they might not be paying attention to the actions, right? Because I'm the person that's like paying attention to actions. So if you're not reciprocating, for me, I'm going to be like, something is off. But they're just being kind and generous, and they're not paying attention to that. And so we have a responsibility and a duty to be like, hey, I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate, your generosity. However, this is not something that I want to continue in a romantic way.
Right. I'm listening.
So I think we have to also look at that aspect of it as well. And that's because we have to be honest and admit that we could be being selfish.
Yes. So that goes, that's being selfish. That goes back to another point you had made. If I'm being selfish, that's going to lead to my partner having resentment.
Yeah.
And we talk about the resentment expert. It's all about him. When I went into this on the gratitude about it being for me, about things that was done for me, to me, and now it was just my way of rewarding you is like, I choose you. That's your reward. It was never about us having that foundation, and that's what happens. We're making straw houses, so now I can huff and puff and blow it away.
Yeah.
So when that happens, we got like, is the sustainability even gonna be there? Because what happens when that gratitude wears down or it diminishes? Now, like you say, I feel kind of stuck as well. One person can feel stuck. Other one's feeling resentment, and guess what? It's gonna lead to either a breakup, maybe heaven forbid infidelity, because now I'm getting that energy in the space that I had when it was gratitude feeling from somewhere else. Now that's filling that space.
Yeah.
That the gratitude's gone. Now it's filling the space with attention from something else.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I often talk about lends to this as well, and that is healing, right? Mm-hmm. Because healing is important when it comes to entering into relationships, because having that foundation of healing helps us to know and understand and be aware of where, like, okay, I'm going into this and I need to be able to quickly and easily assess if this is a relationship that I want to get into, or if this is something that is based on the person's generosity, or if this is first based on the person's whatever. But you have to be able to easily, quickly assess what it is. And when we're not in a space of healing, that causes us to make decisions that might not be so beneficial for us. And I've been guilty of that. I've looked at things. I've had men that in the past, if I had a man that came to me in my brokenness and he was kind and generous and all of that, I'm like, oh, I've never had this before. So I'm just gonna see if I can deal with him and accept him, because that's not what I've had. But when you're in a healing space, you understand that that's something you deserve. That's what you should have. But at the same time, you have to have a connection with that person.
I never thought about
it can't just be that I just want a person that's nice to me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Wow. That right there gave me a whole different outlook. Because, say, like, by nature, I'm a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
And me pursuing somebody who in a broken state, it can easily get confused. So
exactly.
So now it's also detrimental to me because I'm genuine,
and a lot of people may not be.
Right, and now they're I hate to say broken, but they're not in an unhealed state, and they're not. They really just not in a proper state to make the proper decision. So once they're start to have an awakening,
yep,
I can be like, yo, I'm being asked out because I'm doing right, but this is not what she wanted.
Exactly.
Or she really was needing.
Exactly.
It would just say, oh wow, got it.
But I thought we talked about that when I was telling you about my situation, and I said, like, So I got into a relationship, and I'm not going to disclose that because this is going on YouTube, but I got into a situation with someone at a time where I was extremely broken. I was going through a lot of different things, and this person just came in and swooped in and was like, let me help you, let me be here for you, let me support you through this. No, I got you. Like, I want to be here with you. I like you. I really want to, like, take this to the next level, right? And in my brokenness and in my unhealed stage, I mistake that for love. So there was a mistake. And it wasn't like I was being selfish or anything like that. I really did mistake it for love because I was in this brokenness.
Yeah, but this time when you said it like that, it's kind of hit different. It just clicked different.
The way I said it.
Yeah, it clicked different.
Janelle said, you think you can make them what you want. Exactly. So even though in that moment with that person, I knew that it wasn't the right situation, I thought that I could. In fact, a friend told me who was witnessing the relationship said, don't worry about it. You'll fall in love with him.
Or you'll learn to love him.
You'll learn to love him. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's true. Because I don't feel that way for him. But he's so nice and he's so caring and he really wants to support me. And so I'll eventually get there. But ultimately, it was unfair to him. It was so unfair to him because he's thinking that this is reciprocal. Janelle said that's old school. You'll get there. You'll fall in love with him. It's not about love anyway. That's a lot of people would say that it ain't about love. No way. You don't get involved with people for love. And I was like,
he got a good job.
Yep. He got a good job. He got a good head on his shoulder.
He come from good people. He come from a good family.
He come from a good, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's all. Wow, that's all the way true. You know, and just the other week when we were talking about old school versus new school, and I said old school is not always.
Yeah.
So old school is not the new school and old school. Neither one is a true school.
When you said old school wasn't always right.
Yeah.
That's true, because that's one of those old school things where it's like you don't want to find yourself in a position where you're accepting people because of positive attributes about them, but that you are really in a relationship with someone because you actually care about them, you love them, and you see a future with them. And like I said, when I was in that situation, and I was in that situation for years,
mm-hmm.
I literally would try to force myself to feel a certain type of way about this person. Because I felt like, well, there's this thing that, and a lot of women will say this, and it was a woman who told me, well, you'll eventually love him. You'll eventually fall in love with him. A lot of women would say, that's a good man. You can't let that good man go. Why would you let that good man? That's a good old man. But if I don't feel that for him, you're telling me to be in an unhappy relationship with somebody. And so just because they're kind, and we owe it to ourselves to be in genuine relationships with people that we really care about, that we really love, that we really see a future with, rather than these I owe you relationships.
Right. Seeing me through a hard time or dark time is not necessarily love. It's not. Let me rephrase that. It's not seeing me through a hard time or a bad time or a dark time. It could be love, but it's not necessarily in love.
And not necessarily relationship.
Yeah.
Right? You can be there for me through difficult moments. You can support me through difficult moments. I can support you through that. But it doesn't equate to relationship. It just means that in this moment, I was there for you or you were there for me.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to get into relationships with people and hurt people. We don't want to get in relationships with people and not be honest with ourselves and be honest with them because of where we are in that moment. And how many times have we done that? How many times have we sacrificed ourselves? How many times have we risked the hearts of other people through our selfishness by those types of actions? And so it was a conversation that we wanted to share with you all about, we have to be careful about those things. Coming into a relationship with a healing heart and in a healing space so that you can honestly assess what this really is. Because the last thing that I wanted to do was ever get into another relationship because a person was there for me, or the person was kind to me, or even I was kind to them and I was genuine to them, and then they mistook that as love. So I had a lot of guilt associated with that person really genuinely loving me, and then so it was harder for me as time went on to let that go. And I want to, hold on, babe, okay. I want to address this comment.
Okay.
Fuqua said, you feel like you should love him because he's good to you and that you will eventually fall in love with him. My experience is that you're doing both of you all a disservice and things won't last because you're not genuinely in love. Exactly. That's what we were saying, because it's like you are mishandling someone's heart. And more importantly, your own too. Like, I think both people end up losing in those situations. You're mishandling your heart and you're mishandling the other person's heart.
And guess what happens then? Or possibly can happen. We just made a bitter person. Now we saying this will come to a point where women ain't shit or men ain't shit. Mm-hmm. Now because of that, that toxic situation, we just create a bitter person. We possibly could make a bitter person.
But let's go back to what I said earlier, which is about the healing space.
Yes.
Both of us, when I say us, I mean both parties, have to be in a healing space to be able to be aware enough to know what this is. Right? How can you assess that? I want to talk about that.
I want to talk about that too, because I'm thinking about it.
How can you assess that? So here's a couple of ways that through my healing I've been able to assess it. If it's one-sided, okay? And what I mean by one-sided is I've had people be kind to me and I've been kind to people, right? However, here's the test. If you feel that the way you feel is not what they feel, and you can sense that. We may not speak on those things, but we can sense those things, right? So if you can sense that that person is not in the same space as you in terms of feelings, in terms of reciprocation, in terms of the time that you're getting, in terms of the energy, all of those things, you have to consider those things. Then you have to look at that and be aware enough to say, you know what? This might not be what I want it to be. This might not be a relationship that's reciprocal and going in the direction I want it to go in. So we have to be wise enough to bow out and say, you know what? I realize what's happening. I cared about you, or you cared about me, and that caused me to be kind, that caused me to be considerate, that caused me to be supportive, but it doesn't mean that this is a romantic relationship with the future. That's one of the ways. And I'll let you go ahead and share something, because you look like you want to say something.
No, I was thinking, I was really thinking, like, one of the ways we probably can avoid that is time. Don't rush into it. Oh, this is who I'm going to be with. Let's go ahead and jump into this right here. Mm-hmm. Maybe we pull back. If it's genuine, it's gonna last. That gratitude will not. It can fade, but love's gonna last. So if we step back, okay, let me be sure that this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Because apparently can easily be confused. And I was like really thinking hard, like, how can we stop that confusion? You know, now we bring it up. How can I judge my emotions and stop that blur or that merging of the two?
Healing, healing, healing.
Yeah, but you can't get that at Walmart.
I know. You can't. You can't get a relationship at Walmart. But I'm just saying, like, I will talk about that until the end of time. It is important that we do the healing work. Because if not, and healing work involves therapy, it involves silence and solitude, it involves prayer and meditation, it involves those things so that you can heal and resolve some issues that you're not taking into the next and the next and the next. And that is the honest answer.
Yeah, and I'm with you. You know, I just wish they taught that in public schools. You know, this healing thing, you know, it's relatively new to me.
They didn't teach us about budgeting and finance in school.
Yeah.
They didn't teach us a lot of stuff in school. So we can't rely on the school. We have to, like, my thing is when we know better, we have to do better.
Okay, so in that case, then, are we teaching? Well, I don't want to switch subjects on like this, but then are we teaching these therapeutic and therapy and healing and meditation to our children? Like I said, we have to learn it first to pass it on. Like, I'm doing stuff by being with you. I'm seeing different things, so this is what I'm going to do. But until I started falling in love with you, or fell in love with you, I never really started thinking about going to a therapist but meditation is still, I'm still kind of rough on that one. That silence is yeah.
Yeah, you struggle with the meditation.
Yeah, that meditation.
But at least you willing, right? So I think it's really about being honest with ourselves so that we are self-aware enough to recognize what it is we're in, right? Like, my feelings might be hurt if I'm the person that's being kind and that person doesn't feel the same way, or that person's feelings might be hurt if they are being kind and it's not reciprocated. But I think it saves us the heartache long term by being honest with ourselves and with that person so that we don't find ourselves in relationships that are not for us.
And the one that's, if you think about it, not the one who has the gratitude, but the caregiver, or the one who's doing the giving, they have to also, like you said earlier, have to be aware enough to know, no, bro, this is not, you're not saying this out of love, you're saying this out of gratitude or a need. You're not saying this out of a proper mental state. So how about you pump your brakes and we will revisit this later.
Okay, clarify that, because I think I missed something.
What I'm saying to you, say you have a gratitude toward me for being nice and this or taking care of you in your time of need, right? Mm-hmm. Let me say it again. Yeah. So how did I say I lost myself? Say, what did I say? Shit. Anyway, I'm going to meditate on that one. But I was saying, say I'm being that, I'm the one, the caregiver of you, and you say, Marcus, the way you did this, the way you take care of me, let's be together. Or, well, I should be able to have to be at the point where I should say, that would be nice, that would be lovely. Let's hold on.
Yeah.
Let's chill out for a second.
Exactly.
Let's let this emotional state you are, or emotional high you're on, calm down, level off, and let's come back to it later and see that's how you really feel.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's exactly what I was talking about, is both parties being aware enough, but at least somebody has to be aware. So in that instance, in that scenario that you just gave, one person was aware enough. it's best when both people are aware, but at least one person needs to be aware enough to be like, okay, let's pump the brakes here. Let's really be honest with what is happening here. And again, there have been times where I've been the person on the giving side and the caring side, and it wasn't reciprocated, and I've been the person who was getting things and it wasn't reciprocated. But in each instance, it was identified. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the importance of it. You have to be able to identify it, whether you are the person identifying it or somebody else is identifying it. But again, it would be ideal if both people are aware enough to walk into it with that high level of awareness to be like, yeah, this might not be it.
And it'd be even nicer if only one has that awareness and the other one has the emotional maturity to accept that answer.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because you think, because I'm giving you my heart and you turn it down.
Yeah,
and, and
the awareness is key.
Right. And a lot of people like the first answer out their mouth, fuck you.
Yeah, awareness and maturity is key in this. Oh, that's good, babe. I didn't even think about that. So, and I feel like in most of my instances, there has been maturity. I only dealt with one person who was immature and was angry and was like, you bitch. So they were angry with me because I was honest with them, and I'm like, I'm being honest. I cannot do this with you. And I had people that weren't honest with me, but I saw it. And so I was like, yeah, let me pump the brakes and move on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I was mature enough to do that and not get angry and not get in my feelings about it because it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great point, and we didn't even discuss that as we were talking about this, but I love that point about the maturity aspect of it. You have to be mature. Like, it's okay that y'all not on the same page. It's okay. Like, it's I would actually prefer that I know that early on so that I don't waste my time and you don't waste yours. So, yeah that's a good point.
Yeah, babe. Time has no refunds. But yeah, other than that, but I'm not gonna. But I also want to mention gratitude is also a great thing when you're already in a relationship. If we're already in a relationship and the gratitude is after the fact, we're in a relationship, it's an enhancer then.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like you and I are a relationship.
What are you from?
Don't get the cussing. Don't get me cussing on this live.
Don't cuss, baby. Don't cuss.
Because I cuss and I stutter and then I get all flustered and shit. Anyway, what I was saying. Oh, I forgot. It could be. So when me show you gratitude is enhanced. Like, oh, thank you. It gives you that feeling on top of the love. Like, okay, that appreciation.
And this is the positive of gratitude and love.
Because
with the genuine love. I want to address a comment. Then
I'm listening to you.
Lawrence said, healing is like a great wine. The taste can confuse the palate, but the reaction of the body completes the journey. That's good.
Oh, poet.
Yeah, I think that's good. And it's true. It's like, because even like me through my healing journey, I've been able to identify things early on, which I feel like is an advantage.
Right.
Because I don't... back in the day, we used to be like, don't miss the context clues, right?
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, don't miss the context clues, because if you do, you're going to have to pay the price to that. So don't miss the context clues. Those things are happening as a reason. It's to bring awareness. It's to bring things to your awareness. And the maturity part of what you said, that comes through the healing as well. You're able to be mature enough to understand that this could not be for me, but that's okay. Either way, I'm willing to accept whatever it is. And then to go back to your point about gratitude when you're in a relationship, that's the positive. That's the bright side. Because when you are in a relationship that you feel is the right relationship and you feel like it's reciprocal and you feel like is, that's really the relationship you're supposed to be in, then gratitude is a great thing.
Right, because I don't want us to mistake this whole topic as gratitude as being a negative emotion.
Yeah.
Because inherently and fundamentally, gratitude is a great thing. I appreciate this. I'm thankful for this. I'm grateful for the sunshine. This is a relationship we're gonna have the rest of our life. I'm grateful for the flowers right here. Don't mean I'm gonna have a relationship with that flower.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great emotional feeling.
Yeah.
And for both.
And being kind to people is a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be kind to people. No matter what the outcome of the relationship may be, I feel good about being kind to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's a positive too. Like, it doesn't have to turn out the way that I may desire for it to turn out, but I still feel good about being kind to people, whether they wanted to be in a relationship with me or not, or whether or not I wanted to be in a relationship with them. So them being kind to me was appreciated. Me being kind to them, I would hope, was appreciated. And so it's not necessarily about what the end result is. It's about how you're showing up for people, period. Mm-hmm. Show up for people in kindness. Show up for people in an authentic, loving space. And then you'll get that back. It's going to come back to you. And I feel like, in all honesty, like us being together, that's my comeback. I got my reward. In a sense, I got my reward because I got the person for me. I got the person that I love and that loves me. I got the person who gets me and I get them. I got the biggest reward by going through those series of things. And so, but do I discount the other relationships, or am I upset about those things? No, I absolutely enjoyed being kind to people, and I absolutely enjoyed people being kind to me. It didn't create bitterness in me, like you mentioned. And it didn't create bitterness in me because of my healing. Mm-hmm. Because I'm able to heal and I'm able to resolve those things and not take a lot of those things personal. I know people liked me, but they may not have felt a certain way about me. I know that I liked certain people, but I just didn't feel a certain way about them. And that's okay. Right. You know what I'm saying? But let's enjoy and embrace the goodness and the kindness and all of that, the good positive things that came out of those situations.
Yeah. So I was thinking, it just hit me. When we talk about love, and you know how we also confuse lust and love sometimes. Mm-hmm. Imagine the lust and gratitude combined.
Yeah.
How easy that could be confused with love? Uh-huh. That I'm thinking like, man, and I'm like, damn, she fine as hell, and she cooking me dinner. Mm-hmm. I think I love her. She might be crazy as hell, but I love her. But she cooked dinner and she fine as hell. You can easily. This is an extreme circumstance, but
I know where you're going.
Combining two things like that, it can really make it difficult to distinguish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just hit me like, wow. Because for us to actually even have this conversation, it can't be really easy to distinguish the two. If it was that easy, when we have this conversation, if it was that easy, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
As often as it has.
But I think that, that's a point to be made. It can be easily, those things can merge very easily, right? Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you've merged lust with like, with kindness, with, you know, you've merged those things, and then before you know it, you confuse, they confuse, and those are what I call situationships, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, those are what I call and again, in those instances, when I think back about even moments like that, for me, I always had the awareness about it. Not always, but I had some level of understanding. I might not have taken the awareness that I had and moved on it instantly, but I've always had the feeling. I just didn't always do anything about it. Because again, even in the instance where I was in that relationship for years, where he was kind to me and he was generous to me, I knew pretty much day one, if I'm honest. I knew very, very early on.
Really?
Yes. And I also knew in instances where I was the person that was showing up with all this love and giving and doing and being kind, that it wasn't reciprocal. I knew. So that's why I'm saying, like, I've always held that awareness, but I wasn't in that healing space always. The awareness was there, the knowing was there, but I lacked the action to move immediately on those things.
And this is the awareness that everybody has. And you're saying, like, everybody should have a certain level of awareness. I mean, it's about recognizing, understanding, and acting upon it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, that's what I'm
asking.
asking.
That's what I believe, yeah.
Okay. Because I think we had, one of our live events we had back in the beginning, we talked about that instinct or that the internal intuition. That's the word.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where that comes in sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Having that intuition and learning to listen to intuition, developing that awareness to understand and utilize the intuition.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us don't. I'm one of them. I don't always listen to that inner voice.
And I think some of us can't be honest about it. Like, if we're honest about it, a lot of us can't be honest about that feeling.
Yeah.
And so it keeps us from recognizing it.
Yeah. Or we're more in love with the fantasy than the reality.
Yep.
Okay. That's some good shit.
Good shit, right?
That's good shit.
All right, let's wrap this thing up.
All right.
Let's land the plane. I'm just checking to see if there's any more comments.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about landing on planes, things like that. Between all the airline stuff that been happening the last few weeks, leave the planes alone.
Yes, leave the planes alone.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not seeing comments.
Okay. Well, let's start wrapping it up then, because this is enough to chew on for a minute.
It is.
You know.
It's a lot to digest.
Right. And while we digesting that, let's keep your eyes out, keep your ears open for the things that's coming in 2023. We're gonna make 23 better than 22. So keep out. We got some things in works, things going into motion. Come out, because Wednesday Night Live is fun. In-person live is better.
Much better.
Yeah. And as always, we're not professionals. These are our opinions, these are our thoughts, these are conversations.
And our experiences.
That part.
Mm-hmm. So, we definitely want you all to know, eat the fish.
Throw away the bones.
Throw away the bones. What doesn't apply, throw it away.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a guest,
shoot a DM.
Shoot us a DM
We'll
with a comment. If you have suggestions about
topics, shoot us a DM. Hey, this is post your date nights. And when I say date nights, you date with your others, you date with yourself. Self-love. Things shared. Let everybody see the positive things. This is a positive platform. Show the positive ways you treat yourself. To me, I can sit on this patio, smoke my cigar, and have a drink. That's one of the ways of my self-love. I should post that because that allows me to have an inner peace that I can bring into the household. So don't be shy. Post your self-love. Post love with others. Be positive and be great.
And one of the things we want to do is we want to get some couples on as guests. So if you are a married couple, even if you are a dating couple, we would love to have you on as a guest. And when you request to be a guest, let us know what topic you all want to discuss so that we can bring you all on and have some dialogue.
You know something, babe? I wouldn't mind having a couple singles on to discuss how the dating life is, the dating world, because we're not in the single life like that anymore.
Yeah.
And I want to hear the different dynamics, see the dynamics, how much the dynamics are changing in the recent months or the past year. Are we seeing a shift in the culture?
Yeah.
You know, for the good or for the bad? Because we don't. The experience that you may be going through, others might be going through, and we can discuss it and see how we can navigate these waters.
So singles, shoot us a DM. Let us know if you want to be on the show, and we can discuss that further. We do have an event coming up next month. We won't go into full detail about that, but we will let you know there's an event next month as we approach Valentine's Day. It's going to be for everyone. It's not going to just be for couples. I know it's a Valentine's Day event, but it's going to be so fun. So fun.
Very fun.
Very fun. I think you all will enjoy this. We've never seen this idea anywhere.
So we have asked a few people what they thought about this idea. All positive feedback. So it's time to put it in action, put it in motion.
So we'll be promoting that event in the next coming day, in the next coming week or two. We will start promoting that event, and so we hope to have your support. And as always, thank you for your support. Be sure to invite others that you think will add value positively to the group. And anything else, babe?
Love positive, and I'll see you, or we'll see you in 2 weeks. Because
every other week.
Oh, is it?
Every other week.
Yeah.
Not every Wednesday anymore, you all remember. So we'll be back on the 25th of January, 2 Wednesdays from today.
Oh,
all right?
You already know the date?
I already know the date.
You all right.
I do okay. That's it, babe.
All right. Be out.